Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for the 18th of July, 2013. Yes, the tropics are still nice and quiet. You see the sun coming up across the western hemisphere there as it moves across. That line, by the way, is called the Terminator. Yeah, you ought to Google that sometimes. You have some interesting results. It is the Terminator. That's the difference between the night and day line as it goes across the globe. So you learned something today outside of just what's going on in the tropics. We do have an active tropical wave right here passing through portions of the windwards and leewards and now affecting Puerto Rico and eventually the Dominican Republic. Not much development chances with that. Behind it, some pretty dry air with a pretty good push of Saharan air layer influenced air coming across that way. And over in the Gulf of Mexico, just a surface trough, weak low pressure area, maybe some mid to upper level spin. Nothing indicated by the global computer models as far as development there. Looking over in the eastern Pacific, things are nice and quiet here as well. And we don't see any development noted in the computer models for the next several days in either basin, so that's good news. This is just part of the overall quiet period that this part of July gives us on a typical basis. You have a year like 2005 or 2008. 2008 featured a pretty strong hurricane, Bertha. Never made landfall, but it roamed around the tropical Atlantic for a while, pretty strong. And 2005, of course, was one of those probable once-in-a-lifetime events that saw lots of activity, including a Category 5 Hurricane Emily, if memory serves, back in July of 2005. So let's take a look at the GFS here, just to take a peek at something a little different as we round out today's discussion. This is the 850 millibar vorticity and height field part of the model. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically, I like to look at this for spin in the atmosphere. You can see the tropical waves, their signature in the atmosphere, and I figure we could take a look at the next several days through the model. So let's look at 6 hours. By the way, this was initialized at 12 UTC, which is 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So we're looking at the very latest version of the GFS 850 vorticity field. This is up at about 5,000 feet in the atmosphere. So here is the 6 hour in time, out in time map. And what you can clearly see at the 5,000 foot level is this nice big old ridge of high pressure dominating the Atlantic Ocean. You can see part of the outline of it there too. And then you've got these tropical waves that show up here, weakly reflected easterly waves in the pattern of trade winds that blow across the Atlantic. You can see those trade winds coming across here. And then you've got these bumps on those trade winds. Those are your tropical waves of low pressure that migrate across the Atlantic. So let's continue to go on out into the future. This is 24 hours, so this will be valid Friday morning. Hopefully everything will load fast for me. You see there's really no areas of vorticity. That's what I'm looking for. Do we see a nice round cluster? I'll try to draw something in here. A nice round cluster of vorticity like that on the map somewhere in the tropics? And the answer is no, we don't. There's nothing out there. Some energy trying to come off the west coast of Africa. Very weak vorticity areas or vorticity maximums in the western parts of the basin, but no active or strong tropical waves seen in the model. So that means that nothing's going to develop when the model doesn't even show these tropical waves. Saturday morning, same kind of thing. A little bit more energy trying to work its way off the African coast out here, but you see the rest of the Atlantic basin very clear. No active tropical waves that we can see going on out to 72 hours, 3 days out, Sunday morning. Very large area of high pressure still dominant over the Atlantic basin here. And this is down, of course, at the 5,000 foot level. There are other parts of the atmosphere that we look for that ridge, the 500 millibar height field as well. But we won't worry about that today. We're just looking down at the 850 or 5,000 foot level, 850 millibars. You can see the trade winds nice and strong. No active tropical waves even 3 days out. So let's just skip ahead to 5 days out in time. This will be valid next Tuesday morning. And again, everything nice and quiet. You can see that strong high pressure, the dominating force over the Atlantic basin. A little bit of activity off the coast of Africa. The winds starting to shift direction just a little bit. Let me get the red marker out here. That monsoonal trough setting up where the wind flow changes to westerly at the 5,000 foot level as these tropical waves come off, moving to the west, and that helps to induce that spin just a little bit, gives them some vorticity or energy or spin in the atmosphere. If we're going out to a week, let's really stretch it out. 168 hours out, this will be valid next Thursday. And now we start to see just a little bit of a hint of a change in the pattern. Pretty strong area of energy coming off the coast of Africa right there. A nice vorticity center along the coast of Senegal, just to the south of Cape Verde, which is right here. Cape Verde Islands sitting out here. And then a very strong area of high pressure now developing over the eastern and central Atlantic. So we'll see in a week this strong tropical wave, which is now over eastern Africa, has a chance to get out over the water and develop some. And at this time period will be late in the month, closer to August, and climatology will better favor development. But the bottom line, I just wanted to show you the model field here and how over the next week there's simply nothing showing up in the model developing. And if the global computer models, as sophisticated as they are, especially the GFS, doesn't even have a reflection at the 850 millibar level of any strong tropical waves, you can pretty much bet there's not going to be any development. It's just remarkable, I think, that we can see out in the future like that and pretty much be assured that nothing will happen tropical storm or hurricane wise. So there you go. That's a look at the GFS 5,000 foot level, and it shows us that we should be in the all clear for the next 5 to 7 days. So I bring you some good news here as we wrap it up. All right, well, have a good rest of your Thursday. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth. HurricaneTrack.com is my site. Always a privilege to be able to do these videos for you. Hopefully you learned something from them. I'll be back with more for you tomorrow.